Page 35, Etude in D-flat major. On page 34, they're introducing you to the key of D-flat major. You just gotta love it. 5 flats. Well, we've already had 5 sharps, so here we go with 5 flats. Now keep in mind, in the key signature, the flat signs are in the same order. They're always so once you know what the order is, if you ever learn the order, you don't have to worry about which notes are flatted. You'll know it. If you can learn the scale, 1 octave up and down at least, then you would know which keys are in the scale, and you just play the notes in the scale. You don't have to worry about it. That's how I do it. That's how I've done it for a long time. But let's talk about D-flat major. There's 5 flats, and again, we got 5 black keys in an octave, so we're using them all. So it's like, okay, there's only 2 white keys used. What are they? And the answer is the C and the F. The only white keys. Everything else is a black key. Now they're showing you the half steps there across the line. Let me just briefly cover this. A scale consists of a set pattern of whole steps and half steps. Remember whole steps and half steps? A half step is 2 notes next to each other. Well, there's no note in between. So it's here to here, here to here, here to here. Those are half steps. It's as close as we can get. A whole step is simply 2 half steps. So it'd be from here to here to here. So that would be a whole step. It's got 1 key in between. That's a whole step. Well, a scale is a set pattern of whole steps and half steps. Major scales have 1 pattern. Minor scales have another. Blues have 1. Jazz has a... Anyway, for the major scales, let's go back to C major, because on a keyboard it's easy to see the pattern because C major is the white keys. So you can see where the whole steps are. So this is a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So whole, half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half, whole, half, whole, half. That's the pattern for a major scale, any major scale. I could start on any key, and if I use that pattern, I get a major scale. Well, let's start on the D flat. That's the scale we're on. D flat is here. And I'll go whole, half, half. I get a major scale, a D flat major scale. So it's a whole here, because there's 1 note in between. Whole here, because there's 1 note. Then a half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half. Start here, and then whole, half, whole, half. It's a D-flat major scale. All the major scales use the same pattern. As far as the 1 chord goes, well, it's the 1, 3, and the 5 steps of the scale. Remember, every scale or every key, each note in it is numbered. Let's go back to C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because if I go 8, that's 1 again. So they're numbered. So if I build a chord on that number, that's the number of the chord. A 1 chord is built on step 1. In C major, it's a C chord, because C is step 1 of the scale. Well, in D flat, the D flat is step 1, and then it's every other note in the scale. So it's here, here. So that is a D flat chord, or a 1 chord in the key of D flat. Doesn't make a lot of sense right now. We need some more stuff to add to this to help us understand it, but they presented it there, so there you go. Don't worry about it too much right now. However, it would help you if you're going to play in the key, if you could play the scale, because then you would get used to using these notes. You just know the notes that are in the scale, so when you're playing them in the music, you just play those notes. You don't have to worry about which are flatted and which are not. However, let's talk etude now. Remember, an etude is a study piece. Well, this is a study piece on D flat, on the chords in D flat major, some of them. So let's look this over. It's 3 lines long, treble and bass clef, 5 flats. We're in the key of D flat major, common time or 4/4 time. And we got whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. All right. They've added pedal. I'll talk about that later. So I'm going to take both hands together because the left hand isn't doing much. Most of it's, all these quarter notes are in the right hand. So at the beginning, they want fifth finger here to put you in that position. The right hand, however, we got these broken chords because these three notes together in the first measure, that's a chord. It's a D flat chord. We just, see if I put the D flat, it's there, you see that's a D flat chord. We just went to first inversion. I didn't explain the inversions, but I've explained them before, so hopefully you remember them. And it's a broken chord. Next measure, it's remember the G flat. It's in the keys, all black keys here. So it's okay to be up here when you're playing only black keys. It doesn't matter. And then back down. So left hand is hold this down. It's a whole note. And then you bring the left hand over and play the F. 2 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and during the rest you come back down. And then see the left hand keeps crossing over to play the half notes. The whole thing is that way. Now you don't get a rest going from here to here, or wherever you're going. You just lift up and move. Just don't take a lot of time, but it doesn't have to be a quick jerky motion or nothing. It's here. Now using fifth finger here, put your hand a little closer to where you want to be. If you use the other fingers, your hand's further away. So maybe you want to use the fifth because of that. So your hand doesn't have to go as far. In the last 2 measures down there, it's here. The last note has an 8 VA above it. Just go up an octave here. Then typically after I get the notes and the rhythms okay, no hesitations, I think about the articulation. Here there isn't any. I suggest just connect it all. That's fine. As legato as you can. Connect it as best you can. You can't because the left hand's moving around, but otherwise connect it. Then the dynamics, well, mezzo piano or medium soft is going to be both hands here. And then you have the hairpin to go up. They don't tell you how loud to go up. I suggest only about a medium loud. You don't need to get loud here. It's just a little bit. Medium soft, a little louder. This is medium loud. And then medium loud in the third measure, and then come back down. See, as you come out, each note is a little softer. Yeah. Now, if you would like to exaggerate it to help you out, rather than medium soft at the beginning, you could come down to soft. So you got more room to get up. So soft, a little louder. By the B flat, we want to be at medium loud. And they're all that way throughout the whole thing. Just coming up and the back down. Good practice. As far as the speed goes, just not fast or slow, just whatever. And that's the feel of it. Rest, rest. You get the idea. Now they've added pedal, and the way this is written, you kind of need pedal to help the left hand connect the notes, because you can't connect that and that. You gotta lift up and move. But I'd like to adjust it just a little bit because I'd like to hear the rests, and they're covering them up with the pedal. And they're only using pedal now on those measures where the left hand has to come up, and that's to help it connect. You could use pedal a little more, but let's start with that. You see under the staff in the third measure, they have the PED. That's the symbol to put the pedal down somewhere. It doesn't tell you exactly where to put it down. It's there. And then you have an asterisk, or a star, excuse me, a couple measures later. Okay, so in the third measure, I would push the note down first and then the pedal. And they're saying lift it up at the end of the measure before you go on. I would like to hear the rest in the right hand, that half rest. So I'm going to lift the pedal up with the left hand. So it's here. 2, rest, rest. So we get 2 beats of rest before I go on. I'm going to do that throughout. Something like that. I'd like to show you another pedaling thing they're not showing you, and that is we could pedal these other measures too. Don't have to pedal it like they're doing. You don't have to pedal it at all, actually. But what I want to do is I want to pedal at the beginning here. I'm going to push the pedal down immediately after. And then on the next measure, when I play that note, right after I play it, I'm going to lift the pedal up, put it right back down. Like so. So it's again like that. We just let the pedal up and put it right back down. It's called change pedal. You're changing the pedal is all. What happens is a lot of times we change the pedal with the harmony because the harmony is changing. Different chords, different harmony. We would change the pedal because we don't want to mix the harmonies. Because that tends to, so we keep it clean. So we would change pedal when we change harmonies. So in my opinion, if you would like, you could pedal this whole thing. Just lift it up for the half rest so we get 2 beats of silence there where we're supposed to. Let's play this together very slowly and check all the notes and everything. I'm going to pedal it like I suggested. In other words, I'm going to pedal the whole thing. Now, you don't have to. You pedal it as you see fit or as your teacher tells you to. That's fine. So I'll give us 4 counts. Now, I'm not doing dynamics. I'm just doing the notes and the rhythms and the pedaling. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, rest, rest. 2, rest, rest. 2, rest, rest. 2, rest, rest. 2, rest, rest.